This episode of Moist Meter brought to you by GodSlap Issue 2. Go to godslapbook.com to order your copy now.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. You know I'm a fan of bad movies, like fun bad movies, where it's just stupid and horrible enough where it becomes enjoyable. It wraps around from being this awful experience to an unforgettably fun one. And that's what I expected to get with M3GAN. M3GAN went viral when the first trailer dropped because it had that like goofy dancing scene in there, and it's very clearly inspired by Chucky, at least in like the general premise that it was letting on, where it's this doll that becomes sentient and starts killing people. And it looked very goofy, so I went into this film expecting it to be dog shit. And it got me excited. It's a horror movie that had a wacky trailer that's being released in January, which is a month that's known as Fuck You, It's January for films, because that's where historically all of the worst movies are dropped. This had everything going for it to be a truly terrible film. So I went in there, high expectations, expecting it to be fun bad, but now after finishing it, I'm almost disappointed that it's not shittier. It's actually just not even bad. But it's also not at all what anyone's expecting. I thought this was going to be what everyone else thought. A movie about a doll, an AI doll, that starts killing people because it wants to protect the child that it's paired with. That's what the trailers seem to indicate that you're going to get, but it's not what you actually get. This is actually more of an emotional movie about a child coping with the loss of her parents and also what it means to have a connection. It like tackles kind of deep themes, like being connected to technology that's driven by algorithms to make you feel better, but not actually be, something with a soul, versus connecting with another person. And it really didn't do that concept poorly, which I would have thought it would. It's a January Blumhouse horror film, and yet somehow against all the odds, like the little engine that could, it chugga choo-choos right up that hill of what should have been garbage and makes it on the other side to something that's pretty decent. It's by no means perfect, but it's really not bad either. Even when it attempts to inject comedy into the film, it does it moderately well. I would have thought most of the jokes would fall flat, and a good chunk of them do, but it makes enough attempts where some of them do actually work just because of the absurdity of it. Now again, if you've seen the trailers, you know just how ridiculous it gets. Like with M3GAN, the AI killer doll, running on all fours while chasing someone. Like, those moments are great, and that's when the movie's at its best, I think. Like, this is not a movie that's all about M3GAN killing people. That really only happens at the end, unfortunately. But somehow I wasn't bored even getting to that point, because it was just competently made, with a decent story. But I really did prefer watching M3GAN kill people in creative ways. That's what I expected, and I did get it at the end, and when it's there, it was fun. That stupid dance that she does where she hits, like, the floss before grabbing, like, a goddamn machete off of the table, which isn't a machete, it's one of the paper cutting blades, but regardless, like, that's great. That's fun. That's stupid, enjoyable fun, and it feels very self-aware in this movie. I just wish there was more of it. This isn't a horror film, by the way. If you're going into this expecting it to be a horror film, you are going to be remarkably shocked. It doesn't even try to be. Even at the end of the film, it's not building tension or anything. It just kind of happens all at once. It's just like, all right, M3GAN's ready to kill. Activate death protocol. And then she starts killing. But until then, it doesn't build tension or anything like that. So I wouldn't go into this expecting it to be anything like that's trying to be scary, because it seems more like it's invested in like the general message that it wants to convey to the audience as opposed to like a scary experience. I really do get the impression that this was originally an R-rated film, because there are moments where M3GAN's killing and it's about to be gruesome, but then it pulls the punch right at the end, and I have to imagine that initially it didn't, but then they made the decision to make it PG-13 so they could open it up to a younger audience. And that's a little disappointing. I would have liked to see what this originally looked like in that regard, but I also understand that decision, because it's clearly a message that's geared towards people that are always like connecting with technology as opposed to people, and that's mainly kids that grow up like terminally online on Twitter and shit. But it also then does dive into like what parenting means and the role a parent plays in a child's life. So it's not like it's specifically geared towards like a young audience. It's just one that I think a younger audience would connect deeper with on the theme, like the main theme. But anyway, I don't have major complaints other than some nitpicks that'll be spoilers and some shit that didn't land at all in the film. But it's all kind of in the spoiler territory, and it's really not that big of a deal. Overall, I'm just surprised that this wasn't bad. Plugging M3GAN into the moist meter, I'm going to give it like a 75%. I don't have complaints, really, like anything that's super big, which I can't believe I'm saying. This is a movie I truly thought was 100% bulletproof, going to be a fun stinker. But it just didn't stink. So yeah, actually an enjoyable film. That's about it. GodSlap is a comic book series we've been working on for a couple years now. It's a hyper-violent, over-the-top sci-fi story about the beauty and destruction that slaps can cause. Issue 2 is out right now. It'd make a wonderful Christmas gift, so make sure to check it out at godslapbook.com. Right now we also have 3 variant covers that are in stock, but the second those sell out, those variant covers will never be restocked, so definitely make sure to pick up a copy today.